So you think you guys got a lot in common?
In some aspects, yeah, we do.
How are you guys? They're both.
To overcome the weight difference, Terence Crawford is leaving nothing to chance against Canelo Alvarez. Instead of training solo, he's now seeking the expertise of the first man to defeat Canelo in the ring. Crawford has decided to begin his training camp early, allowing him to gain weight and adjust to the new weight class ahead of his September fight. He does plan to take a brief break in the middle of the year to recharge. Although Crawford had invited Floyd Mayweather to his camp well in advance, their training session together was highly anticipated. It was clear that Mayweather's focus would primarily be on improving Crawford's defense. The two worked on various techniques, including the shoulder roll, body feints, and footwork. When Mayweather faced Canelo Alvarez, the latter was just 23 years old while Mayweather was in his mid-30s. Despite the age gap, Mayweather's legendary defense was so impeccable that Canelo barely landed a punch over 12 rounds. Floyd has had the privilege of training numerous great fighters over the years, including Ryan Garcia. His knowledge of the sport has proven invaluable to boxers like Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis. Now, his latest protege is Terence Crawford, and Crawford had some insightful thoughts to share about his time working with the boxing legend. You might wonder why Terence Crawford, with 40 professional bouts under his belt, is seeking Floyd Mayweather's guidance just a few fights before his retirement. The answer is simple. Crawford's next fight will be his debut at 168 pounds, a significant change in weight class.
Gave the sport of boxing their whole life and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle. They should feel that way. So if he feels that way, more power to him. I had one fight, and the fight wasn't actually.
In light of this, Crawford turned to Floyd Mayweather, a 5-weight world champion, for advice. During a recent interview, Mayweather reflected on his own famous fight against Canelo Alvarez in a similar weight class, offering Crawford valuable insights ahead of his own challenge.
But it wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him.
I only had one fight at a catchweight, and that wasn't part of my original plan. Anyone can pull up the story online. It's out there. At one point, I think Canelo believed I was afraid of him, that I didn't want to fight him. He offered to meet me at 152 pounds, so I called his bluff and said, if you want to do it, let's fight at 152 pounds. When Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like there was a rule preventing him from gaining more weight after the weigh-in. He weighed in at 152, or maybe 152 and a half, but I came in at 151. He came in at around 168 or close to 170 pounds.
Hit, not get hit, and to make the adjustments that he's made to certain fighters,
Perhaps Terence Crawford felt similarly about the new weight class he'll be moving to in less than a month. Despite boxing fans drawing heavy comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Crawford, Terence refuses to downplay Mayweather's greatness. Crawford respects Floyd, and when asked about their similarities, he had more to say. We have a lot in common, but we're different in some areas, said Crawford, acknowledging Floyd's legacy. Floyd is one of the greatest.
I think, I take more chances,
Excuse me, Crawford.
right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So,
We've made certain moves in our careers, Crawford continued. We have quite a lot in common, but we're also different because I tend to take more risks earlier in my career. Floyd took a lot of risks, too, but it depends on which Floyd Mayweather you're talking about. Are you referring to Money Mayweather or Pretty Boy Floyd? Pretty Boy was all about seeking and destroying, but after some hand injuries, his focus shifted. He started fighting bigger guys, which changed his style.
The left hooks again. And the lightning hand speed extraordinary. Oh. Left hook drops him. And then he hit his head off the mass here at the engine.
As Crawford said, they have a lot in common. However, boxing fans and analysts often compare the two to determine who would come out on top. One news source even picked Crawford as the likely winner in a matchup between the two. But when it comes to pure boxing skill, it's hard to find a fighter who produced more sweet science masterclasses than Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather's crisp jab, precise timing, and counterpunching ability allowed him to dismantle opponents throughout his career. His brilliance in the ring spanned two versions of himself, showing his versatility and dominance. As Crawford mentioned, Pretty Boy Floyd was the more aggressive fighter, taking the fight to his opponents. In contrast, Money Mayweather, years later, would outsmart and outbox his opponents with brilliant technique. Regardless of which style you prefer, both versions of Floyd cemented his legendary status in the sport. Similarly, boxing fans are still in awe of what Crawford did to Errol Spence in their last fight. His power jab that repeatedly snapped through Spence's guard, landing even in tight spaces, and the timing of his counterpunches, showcasing supreme boxing ability. But that wasn't the first time we've seen Crawford display such dominance. However, doing it against a fighter of Spence's caliber was something special. When discussing pure boxing ability, Mayweather is often seen as untouchable, but Crawford's style is different, effective and even explosive in its own way. So, how would their boxing styles compare if Crawford were to face Mayweather in his prime? Would Crawford's laser-like shots break through Mayweather's disciplined sweet science? Who would land the jab first, and who would be the more successful counterpuncher? There are many ways this fight could play out, so it's tough to call.
That's unbelievable. Young boxing fans that are watching Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing one of the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong. You're where and then he's nowhere. You think you... And again, it's not just hand quick.
How many times have we seen Mayweather lure his opponents to the center of the ring, where he would analyze their moves and upload a blueprint to pick them apart? Mayweather's ring IQ and his mantra of hit and not get hit were key to his undefeated record, earning him a place in the Hall of Fame as a 5-division world champion. Crawford, who has been crowned undisputed champion at junior welterweight and now welterweight, has also displayed an impressive ring IQ throughout his career. While Mayweather showcased incredible hand speed, especially when counterpunching, Crawford's ability to cut angles and deliver sharp, whiplashing shots has given him an edge in speed. Of Mayweather's 50 wins, 27 came by knockout, while Crawford has won 40 fights, with 31 of those coming via knockout, and is still at the peak of his career.
The way he rolls with punches. Look at the way he makes it miss. I mean, here we go. Through a series of punches and nothing really landed. Terrific fight for Mayweather. All right.
Now, let's revisit Crawford's brilliance against Spence, where he dropped him 3 times on his way to a dominant 9th-round TKO. Defeating a powerful, body-snatching fighter like Spence, who systematically broke down Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yordenis Ugas to become the unified world welterweight champion, was no easy feat, yet Crawford made it look effortless. His power played a huge role in this victory. Mayweather, known for his defensive mastery, often used the Philly shell to absorb shots with his shoulder and arm while using his free hand to pick his punches. That defensive style, paired with brilliant counterpunching, was boxing at its finest. Crawford certainly has solid defense, but Mayweather elevated defensive boxing to near perfection. So how would a fight between Crawford and a prime Mayweather actually unfold, and who would come out on top? After a tense first round where both fighters are feeling each other out, we'd likely see Crawford being the more active and busier fighter early on, launching and landing shots, even if many are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, Mayweather's style would begin to take over as he peppers Crawford with jabs and starts winning some of those rounds. With a steady flow of pressure, Crawford's firepower could potentially get through to Mayweather, even hurting the legend at times. As close as this fight could be, Crawford's aggressive fighting style and his flashy punches might be enough to earn him points for pressure and volume, potentially leading to a decision victory over Mayweather's more tactical brand of boxing. However, moving up in weight isn't as simple as many think, and to elevate his game, Terence Crawford is determined not to repeat the mistakes of Canelo Alvarez a few years ago when he faced Dmitry Bivol. Canelo's lofty ambitions caught up with him when the pound-for-pound king met his match in the form of unbeaten WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. The four-division champion had a career-low 84 punches landed over 12 rounds as Bivol used his defense and accurate punching to pull off the upset with a unanimous decision victory. The fight took place at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, where all three judges scored it 115 to 113 in Bivol's favor. CBS Sports scored it 119 to 109, showing just how dominant Bivol was. 6 months after becoming the first undefeated super middleweight champion with all four belts, Canelo moved back up to 175 pounds for the first time since his knockout win over Sergey Kovalev in 2019. Around that time, Canelo teased a potential move to heavyweight, but he couldn't break through Bivol's technical strengths. Bivol, a former Russian amateur star, muted Canelo's offense, keeping him at bay with his jab. Throughout the fight, Bivol countered every punch Canelo landed with clean combinations. Bivol allowed Canelo to stay close but never gave him a clean shot to land in his strike zone. Most of the damage Canelo managed to land was to Bivol's left shoulder and arm, but Bivol remained firm behind his high guard. Canelo's previous lone loss came against Floyd Mayweather in 2013. And he connected with just 17% of his punches against Bivol. Canelo was outlanded by a margin of 150 to 284, according to CompuBox. After the fight, Canelo told reporters he thought he was ahead on the scorecards heading into the final rounds. "He's a great winner. Sometimes in boxing you win or lose. I lost today, and he won," Canelo said. "He's a really good boxer. He's a fighter who comes in and goes out. I also felt his power. It was a good win for him. To avoid such damage and improve his chances, Crawford has sought advice from Floyd Mayweather. As for Floyd, his track record as both a trainer and a fighter speaks for itself. The most recent boxer who spent time with him shocked the world with a big win earlier this year.
Fight Canelo, 3 divisions up. Good idea, bad idea?
I don't remember sizes of Terence Crawford.
Welterweight.
If he big, actually.
Maybe he's probably...
During a lengthy interview with Patrick Bet-David on his podcast, junior welterweight contender Ryan Garcia from Victorville, California, discussed his well-known friendship with Floyd Mayweather. Garcia made it clear that he respects the Hall of Fame fighter more than most people, even within his own inner circle. When Bet-David asked Garcia which high-profile person in his life had the license to offer him harsh, unfiltered criticism, Garcia immediately named Mayweather. Bet-David then asked Garcia for his thoughts on the much-discussed potential battle between two extremely talented fighters, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, both regarded as some of the best in the sport.
Someone told me to study Canelo, study Crawford. Crawford about to beat the shit out of Canelo Alvarez. I'm letting y'all know right now, he about to beat the brakes off of Canelo Alvarez.
I remember when I first came into boxing, one of the first things I learned was that you have to respect the weight classes, Garcia said. But Terence is one of my favorite active fighters. He has very good skills, great skills. Maybe he could show us something new, but he already knows what to do, and his coach knows. They'll figure out how to get it done. When asked directly if he thought Crawford could beat Canelo, Bivol replied, "I can imagine it." This shows just how much Bivol values Crawford's abilities, despite the challenge of facing a naturally larger opponent. Bivol also stated that Crawford's boxing IQ could provide him an advantage over Canelo, saying, "I can tell you that Crawford is one of the best boxers in the world right now. I see him with a higher fighting IQ." Since then, Canelo has failed to knock out notable opponents like Dmitry Bivol in a loss and the 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. He's also gone the distance with fighters who were thought to be nowhere near his level, such as John Ryder, Jamie Munguia, and Edgar Berlanga. Jermall Charlo, naturally a junior middleweight, also went the distance with Canelo, though he wasn't competitive against the super middleweight champion. "Y'all can quit with that, he's going to knock Crawford out talk," Bradley said. "Come on, man. Didn't we just see Alexander Usyk fight a guy like Tyson Fury who was 50 pounds heavier? Canelo is the same height as Crawford. He's not a natural 168-pound fighter," Bradley continued. "Usyk is a great fighter, absolutely. But you know who else is a great one? Crawford. The great ones know how to figure it out." Bradley emphasized Crawford's 70-inch reach, which is 3.5 inches longer than Canelo's, and his ability to neutralize his opponent's offense with counterpunching. "Canelo is already a low-output fighter," Bradley said. "I think Crawford can win a decision by working from a distance, using straight punches to disrupt Canelo's spinning hooks and wearing him down as the fight goes on." Bradley also referenced Canelo's apparent avoidance of David Benavidez, mocking Canelo's high-pitched voice when saying, "Remember what you said. Easy fight, easy fight, easy fight." While many in the boxing world believe that the size and power difference between the two would be too great for Crawford to impose his skills, Bradley confidently voiced his unpopular opinion. "I'm going to get back to my haters," he said, sipping his drink at the end of the video. You already know the potential matchup between Canelo and Crawford seemed unlikely at one point, but Crawford, who became the undisputed welterweight champion in July 2023 after stopping Errol Spence Jr. in 9 rounds, made history again earlier this year when he became a 4-division champion by outpointing Jermall Charlo to capture the WBA title at 154 pounds. Canelo, meanwhile, has had his own share of success in recent years.
Listen, I think Berlanga's a talented kid who's getting better. He's improved recently. I think he still needs more seasoning, but I see an improvement in him. He is a talented kid.
After capturing the undisputed super middleweight title in 2021, Canelo Alvarez came up short in a challenge against then WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. However, the 34-year-old has since bounced back with 5 consecutive wins, defeating notable fighters such as Gennady Golovkin, Jermall Charlo, and Edgar Berlanga along the way. Legendary trainer-turned-analyst Teddy Atlas shared his thoughts on the potential megafight between Canelo and Terence Crawford during an interview with Fight Hub TV. Atlas stated that he would have a hard time going against Crawford, explaining, "Very few people have the appetite or inclination to challenge themselves, but Crawford does. I ain't never going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him," that he continued. "It's a great challenge because Canelo is a tremendous fighter, bigger, stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller doesn't mean Crawford won't come up with a game plan that makes the other guy use his size." Speaking further to Fight Hub TV, Atlas praised Crawford, who is linked to a potential fight with Canelo in May or September. He said, "Crawford has all the tools to win a 3rd undisputed crown. Any serious boxing fan knows Crawford can beat Canelo. You have to know boxing to be able to say that." As for the timing of the fight, Atlas suggested that May 3rd or 10th, dates near Cinco de Mayo, one of boxing's key moments, could work, though Canelo may be waiting to see the outcome of a February 22nd fight between light heavyweight rivals Art Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev defeated Bivol in their first encounter last year. That's all for now. For the best updates on news, events, and action in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.